Welcome to Conscious Eye, living in authentic connection and harmony with self, others, and the world, featuring Ravi and Savitri. Good morning, Ravi.
Good morning, Savitri.
And we would like to provide a very warm welcome to Sonam. We are so excited to have you here today, and we're going to have a little dialogue with you around detachment and neutrality. So let me introduce you and give a brief overview of some of the amazing things that, well, let's say the amazing path that you've had in your spiritual journey. You're a Buddhist practitioner and you have a background in Sufism, Stoicism, Hinduism, Taoism, shamanism, and you feel very grounded in forest bathing. So you shared with us. So we might have to look at that a little bit as an option. And gratitude, forgiveness, journaling, and shadow work are some of your personal methods for going inward and addressing a spiritual way of being. So, welcome.
Welcome, Sonam. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here. It's so wonderful to meet you, Savitri, online, and Ravi. Thank you for having me. I rejoice.
Yes, yes. So, tell us a little bit more about that. That was a real brief overview. So, can you fill in some details for us?
Yeah. I met my Buddhist teacher 10 years ago and knew immediately I needed help. I needed to clean up. And so I moved. It took me a year and a half, and I moved to where she was so I could study directly with her. Um, and I did that. I did that every day for 10 years. And when I felt like I had, when I reached the end of that, I politely went on my way and I continued working. And that's where the Sufism, the Gnosticism, the Stoicism, all of that came in afterwards. And it's interesting that I found all of these practices say the exact same thing. They have slightly different methods. That's it. They're all the same. And so I continued with that in the forest. Every day I went to the forest. I would ask my guides and angels and spirits to look around, to enjoy this beautiful forest and speak to me. We did for a long time, and I really loved the stargazing and sun gazing aspect. So I continued to do that every day. Every morning, I get up and first thing, 20 minutes outside, looking up at the sun, no sunglasses, no sunscreen, sometimes in my pajamas. But that has really helped. It's something about those enlightened light codes, and I don't want to get woo woo or anything, but we're made of light. I mean, and when we look at the sun for any amount of time, the right time, we don't want to look at a high noon straight at the sun and hurt ourselves. But first thing in the morning, yeah, it's okay to look at the sun.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. Um, in a way that it clears my mind too. So I hope that.
Yes, it's funny you say that because I have a cat laying right here next to me who loves to go out for walks. And I've never been a morning person, but first thing in the morning, what she wants to do is go out for a walk. And as she's sitting there walking around, I put my face to the sun and just get that first morning light, and it is life changing. It changes your whole day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
in Hinduism, that hour to an hour and a half just prior to sunrise is very dynamic and spiritually intense in a great way. So even getting up a little prior to sunrise and watching that light begin to dawn on the horizon is, it sounds like we all have that in common.
Yes, we call that the Amrit Vela. Do you have a name for that in the Kundalini?
Oh, yeah, Brahma Muhurta. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the time of Brahman, before sunrise.
Wow. And that is a powerful time, to watch that come up, just to see that power, the power of the sun rising
Hmm.
onto showing onto the planet. It's pretty powerful time. And it's amazing that we have that in common as well. I mean, all these traditions,
Are you
similar.
really surprised? Not so
In a,
much.
in a way, I kind of am. I
Hmm.
mean, because I didn't really have much of a spiritual life before Buddhism.
Hmm.
I was never really uh, I knew about Christianity, but I wasn't really practicing Christian in any way. I went to church once in a while, but um, and so Buddhism kind of opened up my eyes. But when I left Buddhism, that's what really opened my eyes, is when I left, to
Hmm.
see, because I was in this little echo chamber, and everything was esoteric teachings, and
Yes.
that was great, but it wasn't the complete picture that I needed.
Hmm. Yeah, and maybe that's the difference between coming into, and I think about it from my perspective, coming into more of a, we can't, I mean, I guess I should say, it's difficult to be a renunciate this time of, in this age, in this modern time. It takes a lot to get away from everything. But stepping back a little from life to get that intensity and that focus and that opening that you just described is really amazing. But then we step back into the householder way of being and bring that with us. So how did that change you when you made that change in your living arrangements?
The hardest thing I ever did. It nearly broke me,
Hmm.
but that's exactly what I needed.
Hmm.
Change, change sometimes is ugly. It's not pretty. You're in the throes of whatever you're in when you're in this change, until you realize where you're at and what's happening, and you can let go, and you can release, and you can realize you're not going to be broken. Everything will be okay. And at one time when this was happening, and I did let go, I'm laying in bed going, I'm opening, his tears are streaming down my face. And I thought I was dying. It was nothing was wrong, you know, but it was just a feeling that I don't have very often. I won't say never have it every once in a while, and every time I think I'm dying.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's amazing what you described.
Mhm. Letting go, surrender. I always say, I've said it before on the pod, surrender was a four-letter word to me for so long. And it was, I refuse, I was going to drive this vehicle and surrender. It's so hard. But once you let go, it's just so scary. It's so scary to let go. I think that's you described it. It feels like death. It feels like you're losing something. But when you cross that threshold, you find that you gain so much more. I got chills when you were saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it can almost feel crazy making. Like everything around you is shifting and it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. Everything that you come in contact with the external world seems to have a different glow, a different tone. And of course, that also applies to the looking at the self as well. And you're thinking, okay, how's this all going to fit together again? Like someone took the jigsaw puzzle when it was almost done and dumped it off the table. And you know the pieces are all there, but how do we get them back into something else that takes us forward? Yeah.
Well, and so my question is, how did you and how do you detach from that old life or old thoughts or old ways of being and come into a more neutral state?
Many ways, many ways. But I think the one overwhelming way that helped me was like first started with, and this helped quite a bit, was like a single pointed object that I would meditate on, like a candle flame. But what really helped after that, because I realized that wasn't getting to the spot that I needed to get to. But what did help was like a more Taoist approach of detachment and neutrality. And in many ways, I just saw things as they were. There, I was just focusing on my breath coming in through my back, coming up through my body, and then doing this into my thalamus. And after I do that for a while to relax, then I realize that I can just notice life as it is without having to put any filter on, without having to see it in any special way. That helped me a lot.
The breath, coming back to the breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's such an important practice. It's that pavana, that gift of life, where we don't know where it comes from. It's such an automatic function, breath is, but then when we practice control of that breath or have an awareness or an acknowledgement of it, it can change us.
Yes. In a
Yeah,
moment. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it's something that we often forget about, like people that have trauma have spent their life practicing how to not breathe, right? Trauma, you don't want to be seen, you don't want to breathe, you don't want anyone to hear you, you don't for sure want anyone to know you're around. And when you get out of that trauma response, it's really a practice in itself to remember how to breathe with the belly and the diaphragm and then the chest. And again, reverse order, the belly, the diaphragm, and then the chest. So that was big for me. That was big in helping me connect, I think.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit in a previous episode about, gut level responses and our intuition and how that Manipura, that chakra, the solar plexus chakra, tightens up, and we feel that. That's our first, I'll say, physical reaction to something that uh, maybe triggers us in some way or just maybe distracts us. We build that tension there. And you're right. And I just realized when you were saying that one of the first things I do is check in to see if my belly's tight. Can I just let it go? Just let it open and relax. And that to start the breath makes a big difference. Uh, yeah.
And I'd like to, if I could, circle back to something that you said early on, that what surprised you of all these areas of study that you've been under, how similar they all are. I've said too, as many minds as many ways. There's no one way to come to your path or to your way of understanding or knowing, but as many bajillion ways you can get there, we all have the same core emotions or core responses that bring us there. So it's almost like, if there's polarity or, there's a dichotomy there where they're both true. There's no one way, but then we also have very similar ways because the foundation level is the same, but maybe the way we come to the understanding is so different. But I'd like to, if you are willing to share more about that, because that was fascinating to me. You have such a rich background with so many different schools of thought or philosophies to tap into, yet the foundation level seems to be what maybe is similar. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Could you put that in another way for me in a question?
How did they all come together? As how did you unify them, or how did they all come together, or what are the aspects that really unified those for you? When all are so, people want to, oh, I'm Buddhist, or I'm Taoist, or I'm this, or I'm that. Aren't we all in some way saying the same thing?
Thank you for that. Thank you for saying it that way. And yeah, I think so. I think I started with, and I know this wasn't the right way, but I started with desperation. And that really turned up my heat because my desperation was, I'm missing something. I'm not seeing it clearly. What am I getting wrong? This doesn't feel right. And so I began searching like a mad scientist. And then I started to calm down a little bit when I started to realize, wait a minute, I got from the Akashic records that I was a Sufi. I was. That's why the whirling dervishes are so like awe-inspiring to me. That was me. I was a Buddhist practitioner. I was a Hindu. I was, I'm an old soul. I was a lot of these things. And when I realized that part, the desperation fell away. And then what happened was it was pretty wild. Whatever I was focusing on, this inner help would put it in front of me on YouTube, whatever, internet, show me this book, show me this video, and everything applied, everything. Then I started seeing numbers. I started, look, what does this number mean? What does that number mean? I go back out to the forest. I see this big crab in the water. I see an alligator profile on a tree. I see a female goddess with a flower in her hair. I go back home. I look up all these things. They are exactly pertinent to what I'm doing this particular day in my life and where I'm going. And so that's what kind of unified it for me was the fact that I was more open to receive. I was more open to pay attention and to, because as a Buddhist, I didn't know any better. I would say, tell me your name, tell me this, tell me that. I want to know. They don't communicate like that, girls. For me, they didn't. It's very subtle. It's very subtle.
Yeah, so subtle. It, Again, I get goosebumps. It's like when you're seeking, it can be so elusive, but what you're seeking will find you. It will find you.
Yes, exactly. go. Exactly. I think if we can quiet the mind long enough for us to receive it, and then kind of be centered and grounded so we're not all floaty.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
there's a sense of neutrality there, and the witness observer that may have come into being for you. How did that work? Did you feel immediately like you not only attracted what was meant for you at the time, but was there an emotional involvement or response of some type, or were you able to just take a look at it and start to see how it was all organized in a way that made sense for you, and especially with learning about your Sufi life and your Buddhist life and walking on that foundation? How did all of this knowledge influence you?
Well, I worked really hard to not let any of it go to my head. And every day I would say, is this my ordinary mind or is this higher mind?
Mm,
Does this benefit everyone or does this benefit only me? And if it benefit only me, it got talked to or removed or reconditioned and put back. So it was a process because it could have easily all gone somewhere not well, you know. I mean, the internet is full of people that have so much knowledge about the esoteric or our awakening of humanity and are profiting from it in big ways. And that's not wrong because this is a world of money. This world
mhm,
runs on money. So it's not wrong, but that's not my path.
mhm, mhm.
What a great question that anyone even listening could practice at any moment. And that's what I love about whether it's yogic practices or Buddhist philosophy. These aren't, you don't need tools. The only tool you need is yourself. You can ask yourself at any time, is this my higher mind or is this my, how did you put that? What was my original mind? What did you say?
The, the ordinary mind. The,
Ordinary mind, yes. Yeah. What a great
yeah.
question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To ask at any time.
Yeah.
I love that.
That
Every,
attaches to discernment. That brings discernment
mm-hmm,
into
mm-hmm,
neutrality and detachment.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one I'll certainly be using moving forward.
And it's not that I don't have stuff like that, because look, I have all kinds of stuff back here. I have um, a little trampoline bouncer and a and inversion table, and I have the shaky thing too, and so I have implements and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that the other day because those are all pretty important to me. Well, what happens if we have a solar flare, and I'm not inviting that or anything, or if something happens to the grid, I'm going to be okay because I can still walk, and that means I don't need the bouncy thing, you know. I can figure out how to fix my body on my own without the inversion table, and so yeah, um, I think it's important to be as self-sufficient as we can be right
Yes.
now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not dependent on whether it's the medical or whatever we're dependent on.
So, with the holidays coming up, and we know that we're going to be in family environments, and that brings us back as adults and children to that, which sometimes is joyous and other times can be super challenging. Do you have any words of wisdom for us as we come back to the family environment and spend the holidays in that close sharing way. Do you have those words of wisdom to help us when the moments become more challenging than joyous? How do we work our detachment and neutrality into that system?
I wonder if maybe this is the year that we practice neutrality when we're shopping for loved ones. And then this is also the year that we go all in the love aspect.
Mm.
That's our gift. Why can't that be our gift?
Mm.
And then we have the detachment from the ordinary. Because showing love to all your loved ones, I mean, really showing what you feel if you love them, you know, if you do, and showing them is very different. It might very well surprise them. They might be a little shocked and they might even be a little scared. Don't go that far. But what I'm saying is, I think maybe this might be the year because we're seeing a lot of movements for blackouts, and that sometimes raises a little fear in people. And I'm not about that. I don't want to raise fear in people. But I do think that this might be the year to just think about the loved one more and the love and the experiences you have together. Mm, yeah, you can still get them gifts, still give them money. I still will, I will. But maybe not as much, and maybe not as, oh, we got to travel to the Bahamas this year because we always do every year. Whatever that is. Maybe
Mhm.
that doesn't have to be this year. Maybe this could be a year of something new.
Mm.
Thank you for that wisdom. Yeah.
Yes. That, yeah, as we come up on the holidays and just spending time with family, I've been thinking of ways I can step back from the attachments to how I think others should be and into more of a, like you just said, really focusing on the love that we share, the relationship, um, letting go of the beliefs a little bit or having to have those take front and center, but just really appreciating and enjoying the time that we have because it's precious.
Yes. Yes. And from my perspective, eh, moving beyond all those hurts or times when things felt very uncomfortable to the point of painful, and remembering the joyful times that we had and try to build on that and add a little glue to the relationship this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you, Sonam, so much for sharing your presence and your gifts of wisdom with us and our listeners. I'm so excited for them. Are there anything that you would like to share where people can find you or anything that you have going on that maybe people could also get to experience you in other ways or other forums?
Yeah, actually I do. I'm still working, I'm still learning, and I'm training right now to be a healer, an energy healer. And my energy healer won't be just me. I'll have a partner, an unseen partner with me. I'm working with this partner right now, one of my spirit guides, my energy guides, um, and we're training so we can communicate better for when we actually do work on another person. We'll have that knowing of how we work together. So that's probably, I want to say, I have 9 more I think I have three. I think I have 6 months. It'd be at least 9 months before I would ever think of offering this to anyone. But that's in the works. And my Facebook page, you can find me at Sonam Kipu, and YouTube, same way, Sonam Kipu, SONAM space KIPU.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll put that in the description so that people have it as well to be able to refer to it. Thank you for all that you do and the energy you bring to the planet and the energy you brought to us today. And I'd like to invite everyone to like, share, ring the bell, and we may be seeing you again another time. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, and thank you for sharing your gifts. Everybody's gifts are needed. It's exciting to see the world waking up to what we can do. So, thank you for sharing that with us and with our listeners.
thank you so much for this wonderful invite. I had a wonderful time. I was really worried at first. I was kind of scared. And thank you. Thank you for bringing me
Thank
out.
you. You're welcome.
Fantastic. It is a little scary at first, but it's wonderful to share the message. So we really appreciate that. Satnam.
Namaste.